Content marketing. Two separate terms, but when brought together, it opens up a world of information to millions, if not billions, of people across the globe. Now, with content marketing, you have to know one thing. If it is done right, it makes the end user feel like the content was specifically tailor made for them, be it blogs, videos, products, or anything of that sort. Now, this is like a warm, comfortable woolen sweater in winter. Now, let's be honest, that is a very good feeling, isn't it? So we here at Great Learning have come up with this video discussing a lot of things about content marketing in detail. And guys, do take a second to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. Now, before we get started with this session, let me talk to you about Great Learning Academy. We here at Great Learning have come up with this venture where we are providing courses on the lines of data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, digital marketing, and many other domains absolutely free of cost. Yes, you heard me right, free of cost. And if you're one of those guys who are looking for content in other languages such as Hindi, yes, we've got you covered there as well. And do you want to know the best part? You can earn a course certificate free of charge as soon as you enroll and complete the courses. Now, these courses are taught by subject matter experts and of course professors from prestigious universities and Ivy League schools out there. And I'm sure you guys already know the immense amount of value a certificate adds to your resume, right? So on that note, we highly recommend you check out the Great Learning Academy page, and you can also do so by downloading the app to access the academy easily. Now, without further ado, let's get started with this session. Now, let us dive right into the agenda of the session. We'll start out by taking a look at what content marketing is and why is content marketing so important. After this, we can address all the differences that lie in between advertising and content marketing itself. Now, after that, we need to take a look at what is required to build an action plan for content marketing and how we can go on to analyze user behavior using the same. Now, after this, it is very vital that you know how to understand content marketing strategies and of course the top content marketing tools that are out there.
So let's start off with the most important thing. What is content marketing? Content marketing is a strategic approach which focuses on creating value, reliable, and which is also consistent along with the content in line with the target segment expectations with an intent to finally drive a profitable customer action. Let's begin with the basic understanding. So as far as the definition goes, which we have already gone through, content marketing in simple words can be put this way. It is reaching your target audience through valuable content and eventually converting them into loyal customers, which is the main purpose of content marketing. Again, you might have this question, why content marketing? Why is it important? Now let's understand why content marketing came into existence in the first place. In today's age, the advertisement industry is growing rapidly and millions of dollars are going into creating online ads. So this is to influence a customer's decision to purchase a product or a service. But consumer behavior is changing continuously. As education and access to internet is increasing at a rapid rate all over the world, the end customer is becoming more aware of the importance of quality of the product or the service before making the final purchasing decision. If a customer is spending their hard-earned money on a product or a service, that customer is also now who spends a lot of time researching about the product or a service. You must have done before buying something. And again, you will also look into aspects like whether the price comparisons or discounts, etc. Once the customer is satisfied with the value that the product or the service would bring, then that would make the customer do the final purchase, or that is when a customer decides to go for the final purchase. So as we see, to just sum it up here, the end customer is becoming more aware of the importance of quality of the product or the service, and thus the final purchasing decision lies with the end user or the end customer. So that is where content marketing comes into place. Content marketing helps the customer give valuable information through different channels. Content marketing helps a customer know about the product or a service in a more detailed, supported by data, which in turn again helps the customer understand the product or the service in detail and make an informed decision before they do a purchase. Now let's come into what is advertising and what is content marketing. There is always a question which arises: what are the main differences which differentiate, or per se, what are the main say points which differentiate advertising versus content marketing? Because both are used for one purpose, that is to propagate your product or a service, and the end customer, to influence the end customer to buy it at the end of the day, right? So let's take it one by one. We can see that there are four main aspects when you look into the differentiation of advertising and content marketing. One is instant showcase versus lead nurture, talking to and talking with, general versus specific targeting, business driven versus community driven. In other than methods, there are a few key differences between traditional advertising and content marketing, which are summarized here. So let's focus on instant showcase versus lead nurture. So in advertising, you focus on instant showcase, whereas in content marketing, it is more about nurturing your lead that you generate. Traditional marketing narrates that consumers is all about business, which provides a product or a service, right? And through imagery, videos, an ad captures the essence of a product, service, or brand directly. So it's, for example, if you have seen an ad on your television commercial or television commercial, that is what we are talking about here. So it's an instant showcase. Whereas when you look into content marketing, it is not as direct as traditional advertising. Instead of showcasing content, as in the form of an ad or a showcase, content marketing puts out value added content that the target customer finds interesting and it's very useful. It not doesn't only serve the purpose of showcasing your product or service, but it gives out more, wherein which a consumer or a customer finds interesting, which who finds the post or say the content that you give out very useful or interesting, right? So since we have covered this, let's move on to the next part of differentiation of advertising and content marketing. So what is the second most important difference? When we talk about advertising, it's kind of talking, right? It's talking to a customer. It's a one-way communication to the consumers or customers. You simply showing customers what your product service is and what is it about, and you expect them to make a sale based on that short showcase. It's just a one-way communication. But whereas when you look into content marketing, it's talking with. What it means is, with online content, there is a broad spectrum of opportunities to engage with your target audience. They can leave comments on your blog post. Example, if you are propagating your content marketing through blogs, or even on Facebook post or Instagram. We'll come into that later. But this is the whole idea of it, when which a consumer or a customer interacts with you on your webinar or a podcast, for example, in case if you're propagating there, or comment and like, for example, as I mentioned, on social media, especially say Instagram or Facebook, or let it be anything, right? And content allows you to respond back. Now, this is the most important aspect of it. When we are looking into talking to, it was a one-way communication, but talking with is a two-way communication when we look into content marketing, and which actually lets you get to know your potential customers, and you allow them to trust you and your brand. Now, the third point where we can differentiate between advertising and content marketing is general versus specific targeting. For example, if you have seen any commercial or TV ad, you can see that it is not specified. You might see some ads which doesn't relate to you. For example, you are a working professional. If you see an ad of a toy or or an app for children, yeah, it doesn't apply to you unless or until you have kids. But the whole point, what I'm trying to say is that it is generalized way of showcasing. Traditional advertising shows ads to vast audience and is very generic in nature. Whereas when you compare that same thing to specific targeting, content marketing is targeted. Content marketers spend time researching their audience and to find out exactly what type of content they usually engage with. So there's a lot of research which goes on before you can target your consumers or customers. Now this can only happen with content marketing, wherein which you can also look into recent trends, types of content that the audience read, and the exact places their target audience is present so as to approach them with the right content strategy. So you get a advantage here in content marketing, as to say, where you can specifically target the age groups. For example, you might find specific groups or pages on Facebook wherein which you will find a certain demography of users there, right? Or your potential customers, say you're selling something, a product or service which caters to an age group of 20 to 30-year olds. So you might find a specific place wherein which you can target to your potential customer rather than just generalizing, airing whatever your product, service, or a showcase in form of an ad, right? And the final most important point is business driven. Advertising is business driven, whereas content marketing is community driven. With advertising, the business runs itself, right? And it itself runs the show, to say. They decide where and when their ads are shared. So businesses decide the exact timing of the ads, what time the ad should come out. Say, for example, there is a cricket tournament which is going on. There's a lot of eyes on the TV. The decision to showcase your ad goes in at that time where you have most number of peoples. But on the other hand, when we talk about content marketing, it's community driven, right? The content is easily consumed and shared by the users, which makes content marketing a very community driven, uh, uh, right? And it has an advantage. Consumers are much more likely to check out a brand through content shared to them via their peers. Being easily shareable, online content is a great peer-to-peer marketing tactic. For example, if you look into how many times your relatives or your friends or family must have advised you or told you that, hey, I bought this product or service which is really good, why don't you try it out? And on the other hand, if you see an ad in the TV about the same product or service, which one would you choose and which one is more effective? Right? So content marketing is about creating pieces of content that your target customer will find valuable and useful. So at the same time, it is about getting in front of the right audience and nurturing that relationship so that they develop a trust and become loyal to your brand and to you and to your business, your product, your service in the longer run. So these definitions or these points are specific important points are the key differentiators between advertising and content marketing. Now let's talk about content marketing as a brand advocate, right? So we there are certain aspects built into this part. So we will take it one by one. So let's look into creating brand awareness, right? The most effective way to make your content marketing stand out and garnish attention is to make sure your brand aligns with your content efforts. This level of strategic content marketing helps build brand awareness, and also it strengthens your company's brand recall amongst your target audience. And also with this, there is building brand awareness through content marketing. It is not as difficult as you might think it is. It just needs meticulous attention and planning, and that is when you can make it happen. You have more audience retention in content marketing, which means that your target audience is here to stay and they engage more with your content. Content with high audience retention, more time spent, is more likely to be visible to higher customer base rather than a conventional ad marketing. There is also establishment of trust. Quality and trustable content can speak a lot for a brand when you look into what kind of content you need to propagate, right? Whether it's on your website, your blog, or social media assets like Facebook or YouTube channel or Instagram handles or Twitter handles, LinkedIn pages, etc., etc. It sets you up as an authoritative voice and influencer in your own domain. And keep in mind that the 80-20 rule for your content creation always, right? So 80% of your content should resonate with the user, their pain points, and how you can give them a solution for the problem, while the other 20% can talk about your product or a service. Now that is how you earn the trust, and you make that connection or a bond with your end user or a customer, where in which you are giving them a content which will be helpful for them. And in the end, the 20% of whatever content you write, you show that, hey, you know what, see, I have a product and a service here, and it's going to help you. So this will engage customers and strike the right chord with them and prove to them that what they want, and it and their needs are priority rather than selling the product. So we are catering to their needs rather than selling our products. We also look into how engagement with the audience happens. So it's a two-way communication. Consumers today like to be engaged and have a connection with the brand. This way, your consumers would trust you since they know you, and also there is someone listening to them. So they need some sort of trust and assurance that whatever they are looking for, there is someone who can cater to it, and you can be that. And lately, social media has turned out to be a platform for engagement, and companies respond personally to individual customers or consumers, and by doing so, these companies contribute called as word of mouth marketing. So for example, say if you might see that there might be some customers or consumers who reach out to the official handles of a product or a service company, and the company replies back and makes sure that they are comfortable and they solve their request. Now the user is very happy because whatever the user has paid, he or she is getting the service, and that is how he might propagate about a brand which takes care of the customer or a consumer to his peers, right? So in that way, it's a two-way communication, which will again, at the end, it will help the brand and the product or a service to grow peer to peer via word of mouth. You must also have an active presence on social media, say like blogs, and also to monitor pages for comments, questions, or complaints, and respond with a minimum turnaround time, and be responsive and start conversations. And you will also look into what negative or positive kind of conversations are there, and you will be able to build a positive rapport or relationship with a customer. So these are the important points that needs to be taken care of in when one is looking into engaging consumers or customers on social media. The fifth point is user generated content. We need to encourage, or one needs to encourage, user generated content when you talk about a brand. Today everyone is using social media to discuss brands like they like, and also report complaints directly to the social handles, and this can be very important for companies looking to build trust. There must have been some instances, say, in your life where you have gone through personally, or someone you must have heard of who has gone into social media handles, so for example Twitter, and tweeted, hey, the product that I bought is not working, please help me out. So that is what this says. In one of the surveys, 76% of the users said that content shared by average people is more trustworthy than brand share. In other studies, 92% of the people said that they trust the recommendations of other people, even once they don't know over branded content. So user generated content is a great opportunity for your business to show how real people are and enjoying your products and build some serious brand trust. So to make sure, you need to share endorsements on socials. Example, Starbucks is consistently doing this. If you look at it, you can also actively highlight this content on your testimonials page, a blog, or like a Zappos created. You can also create a specific destination for this kind of content. Then we come into user reviews. So one must encourage user reviews. So you should encourage your customers or consumers to provide a review of your products or services online. Even a negative review can be used to testify your company's transparency and demonstrate your responsiveness and willingness to turn that negative customer experience into a positive experience. So user reviews becomes very important when we are talking about content marketing. Brand responsibility is the final point that we'll be covering under this section. So, what is brand responsibility and its significance here? So, most of the consumers feel strongly about brands being responsible socially, right? For example, a car manufacturer, say, is expected to make sure that the pollution levels of a car is in place, and when selling it to the consumer, uh, it's very important that the company shows, the auto manufacturer shows this. So social causes touch everyone in today's life, and that fact is a brand which cares for those who create a good brand image, and that helps in resonating more with the brand. So, for example, I'm looking to buy a car, and I have two choices. I pay the same amount, and the choice one, the choice A, is a car with higher exhaust, say CO2 exhaust and carbon dioxide exhaust, and the car B is an electric car. So which one would I choose? So people tend to have connections with brands that are responsible. So this concludes this section. Let's move on to the next one. User behavior. This is a very important aspect you need to understand when we talk about content marketing. There is something called as TOFU, that is the top funnel. Top of the funnel, it is called awareness, right? So let's discuss. As you see, before taking the final call to purchase a product or a service, a user goes through a behavior funnel, as you can see here. And as the features of a funnel, the top of the funnel is big, of course, but at the end, the bottom of the funnel, the area of cross section is less. So what significance does it have here? Let's look into it. At the very top of your content marketing funnel, you're looking to bring a much larger and wider audience of potential leads because you're working to attract relevant traffic without deliberately filtering or discouraging conversions. So there are two kinds of people or users or say potential customers who just come into a content, say, who come into the top funnel. So either they can be completely decided with your product or service, or they can be a 50-50 as well. So so the most common form of top funnel content would be your blog articles. From there, call to action should lead to a top funnel prospects to conversion opportunities, like ebooks that encourage leads to exchange their contact information for helpful content inside. Your goal with the top funnel content should be to educate your audience on a specific question, or what they need, or what the pain point is that they are facing. And you need to also address them, but without selling the product. So you first, it's sort of luring in, right? So when we talk about top of the funnel, we talk about awareness. You need to make your potential user base or potential consumer or customer base aware of what domain or genre you're in. Coming back to the topic that we are looking into here, we will now move into understanding what is the middle of the funnel. Okay, it's called MOFU. We can call it as MOFU, middle of the funnel. It starts for MOFU. And looking into this, once a lead enters the top funnel, right, they'll progress into the middle of the funnel stage. In this stage of the funnel, your content should continue to educate, but also start the process of positioning your product or service as a solution into the customer's pain points, right? For example, ebooks are a very good way to use them as a downloadable asset in exchange for leads, like contact information can be collected, etc. Now, what happens in you can also look into case studies, white papers, videos, and quizzes will also work just fine if you use tactically. So initially, you lure them with the content which is interesting, And then slowly, when they are in the middle of the funnel, they are into consideration, then you show the consumer or the potential consumer or customer, and collect the lead data by giving something extra. And finally, when they come to the bottom of the funnel, the final stage is of the lead cycle. So the whole lead cycle, this is the final stage. And in this stage, obviously, the most important part is that you need to understand that this is where the consumer or the customer will decide. And this is the most important part of the funnel or the whole funnel. And you're going to pitch the product and the service at this part, at this stage of your consumer journey or customer journey. Your users have developed some level of trust with you and your brand over the content they have consumed over here, right? And this is where a free assessment, an evaluation, or a trial works nicely to start the dialogue and begin, to fully qualify your most interested leads. If you have a discount code to use for your product or service, this is the best place to put it. You can also give them free trials. For example, if you look into edtech service, edtech companies or startups or edtech services that are available in the market, uh, for example, say I look into a user point of view, you found something very interesting, an article about, say, example, data science, and you went, or for example, say you found an interesting article on something else like photography, and you went into a blog and you saw that there's a good content. And in the end, the blog says that, okay, if you give me your valid your information, where in which we can contact you through email or phone number, then you'll get a photographic guide. Now, to get that guide, you fill the form and say, okay, that's fine. And that is when you get a link, or you're communicated via message or an email, which says that, hey, you like our content, why don't you check out our other things, our other offerings? You don't have to pay for it. You can just come in and have a free trial. Or you can also say, we're giving you an early bird discount, so you'll get a 50% discount if you just come and look into our product or a service that we have. So this completes the whole cycle of the user, as an example which I explained right now. So let's move into the next part, content marketing strategy. Every content marketing has a proper build strategy before you execute and move into tactical solutions or tactical executions. So let's see what are the important points that needs to be covered, and which comes under content marketing strategy. First, you need to create a goal, then establish your KPIs to track what goal, what are the metrics that you track. Then you should know your audience. You also need to assess current position of your brand or your product or a service. The best content channels, identify them. Decide on content types. What are the different types of content you need to use? Identify and allocate resources accordingly. Look into the content calendar and see, plan, execute. Create content, most important part that you are going to be using. Distribution of that content. And finally, measure your results. So let's go into these things one by one. Very interesting. You will definitely like going through each of them in brief detail. Let's talk about creating goals. So, improving revenue as a result of content marketing. A good starting point for your content marketing strategy plan is to set out content marketing goals, objectives. This makes it easy to focus and prioritize content creation so that your content calendar stays on track. A content marketing mission statement takes into account your target audience, the content you'll use to reach them, and your value addition, right? So, typical goals include improving revenue as a result of content marketing, getting more traffic to your site, improving authority on your businesses so that you gain influence and authority, SEO metric which leads to more traffic, reduce marketing cost as your content becomes more effective, the amount you spend on marketing which reduces. And finally, social media engagement affecting both traffic and engagement. Once you know your goals, it's time to keep moving on to the next step. The second step in content marketing strategy is establishing your KPIs, or KPI stands for key performance indicators. So what are these key performance indicators? The best way to achieve goals is to have a quantitative way to measure your success, right? You cannot say, okay, I'm more successful today than yesterday, but how? What are you tracking? You need numbers to track. You need something to measure. You need a setup or a process wherein which you can measure your performance every day. So this is where KPIs come into play. This means that setting up a key performance indicator for your content marketing effort is very important. The KPIs, or the key performance indicators, as they say, the KPIs will help you know when you have achieved your goals by providing milestones you can check off now and then. They'll also include what you plan to achieve in terms of revenue, sales, traffic, SEO, and different aspects of digital marketing like email marketing or social media metrics, etc. Typically, these will have specific numbers attached to them. For example, you might want to look into the revenue target for the quarter. You might want to set some revenue targets that you will be achieving them after so much time. Subscribers sign up, or leads for your lead magnets amounting to high quality leads. So whatever content you're going to put out there, how many subscribers do you want? Projected acquisition of subscribers or signups, how many signups are you expecting? You need to set up these numbers. For example, how many leads are you generating for your business in the end, which you can put into the bottom funnel and move them to the bottom funnel, that is, and increase in traffic on all pages across your website. How much traffic is your page or your post garnering where you put your good content? And also, what are the improvement metrics in the search ranking of some of your critical web pages? Now, this is very important when we talk about blogs come into play, right? We need to improve the search ranking by making sure that all the keywords are present in the blog and the content that you're making. Which means at the end of the day, if I'm a user, I just go and search something which is relevant to me. As a company, I have to make sure that when the user searches it, they get proper answers and a proper result, and say your result is on top. And also, you can also set KPIs on mentions, shares, and comments based on your social media content marketing. It depends on what kind of social media you put your content in, and based on that, you can also look into mentions, shares, comments, likes, etc. So the next strategy of content marketing is knowing your audience. The four more important parameters where you can segregate your audience are age, gender, education, and their income. So basically, we'll be talking about what creating buyer personas. So one needs to know that their target audience and their user behavior and their online presence in order to create the right content for your users or your target audience. In order to do so, one needs to collect demographic data. The primary step is to collect demographics on your visitors, email subscribers, blog visitors, website visitors, social media followers, etc. Now, after this, you can look into web analytics, social media analytics, email subscriber analytics. That will give you all the desired data that you need. And based on that, you can identify one or many users based on these four parameters. Now, how can you create buyer personas? What are the steps? Let's look into it. The basic way of doing this, or the easiest way of doing this, is getting customer feedback. To learn even more about your target audience, you should try collecting feedback from your current customers. That will give you insights into how they feel about the content you're currently producing, what is the most urgent needs are of what they are looking forward to, and the third one is how you can address their problems with your content. Getting the right customer feedback can help you in these three things: understand your readers and subscribers expectations. You can also decide on the best places to reach your customers. We look into step 9, which talks about creating content and where we can put content. So we look into this in the later sections of this course, but again, this point will become very important then. The third point will be to flesh out your buyer personas which we will talk about next. So how it's going to help you. So if you know a buyer persona, or you can identify or make a buyer persona or a user persona, that will tell you the kind of content your audience would connect to, how it will help them, and what will make them care about it. So when you have a demographic data and customer feedback, you can segregate your users into different buyer personas. Based on those personas, you could target specific content pieces tailored to their expectations. So this concludes knowing your audience, and we have covered all the points here. Assessing your current position when you're doing your content marketing is one of the uh, many content strategies that we are learning in this course. So we have looked into the previous three steps already. This is the fourth strategy. So many businesses already have their content out there, right? So this will include content that's on your blog as well as your social media content. You might have podcasts, videos, and so on. The next stage in evaluation is to understand that if content is bringing in relevant traffic on your website. To do that, you will need to carry out a content audit or a gap analysis to assess your situation. So that can happen by creating a collection of content pieces such as blog posts, guest posts, ebooks at one place, etc. You can also do assess by assessing their success by measuring the time spent on the page and traffic numbers. When we say there, it's the users, right? And also identifying the gaps by analyzing competition and including the topics which are not yet covered. And the final point will be identifying infographics, like for example, say GIFs, videos, or vectors, which are so attractive for users. And if you see that you're not using that, then you are assessing yourself that okay, we should use that, comparing to your peers. A good content is basically a perspective, right? So content needs to be updated with the latest information, and this needs to be also written in a language that the customer understands. So these points become very important, or else you won't get the traffic, and that won't give you views or likes or whatever parameter you're looking into in the longer run. So how do you do this? We look into SEO rankings. It's time to assess the usefulness of the content, right? You will be looking into metrics, to evaluate inbound and outbound links to the content. What is the search engine ranking is for your primary and secondary keywords? If the content is widely shared by your audience, is it being shared? Is it not being shared? So SEO rankings is one important aspect in assessing your position. You will see how well your content is ranking. When we say primary and secondary keywords, these are the keywords that say a user uses in a Google search bar. And when we say inbound and outbound links, what are the links that is leading to your content page, or the platform or the post that you have put out? And what is outbound links to the content? So this aspect of SEO rankings, where you consider to assess your current position, becomes very important. Not only that, you need to identify content gaps as well when you're assessing your current position, like where you stand. First is the secondary keywords, right? In the content that you will not be targeting at all. There are primary keywords. For example, you are posting something on video editing. You might use keywords like Adobe or Photoshop, etc. But there might be secondary keywords like layering, filters, or you might have font or text, or something of that sort, wherein which you are also showing that the video contains not only these major aspects of one who is looking for, but also the secondary aspects which you might have not put out in the secondary keyword. So you need to make sure that all the aspects are put out, and all the keywords, the secondary keywords, are put out. Questions and queries that your target audience is asking on different platforms that you may not be addressing. So when you're creating a particular type of a content, you need to see what is it actually matching the kind of questions or the problems the users have in their mind, for which they are looking or seeking out solutions. You need to approach this in that angle. So looking into questions and queries will also show you where you are. And finally, content that's starting to rank well, but may not be answering queries. And now this is a drawback again. Like you might have optimized your content for SEO, that all the keywords are properly put in, which are available and which actually relate, or maybe sometimes we overdo it. But again, is the content that you put out, like for example a blog, is it actually telling the user what the user is looking for? This will be very important. Usually this happens when say user like Google answer boxes. So we need to look into ranking well, but again, we should also make sure that the content is answering the queries put up by the users. So with all these points, we can assess our current position in content marketing. Let's look at the fifth strategy point in content marketing: best content channels. This step involves a research on where your audience resides, like apart from your content, right? This may be on your Medium, for example. Medium is a blogging site, and it might be on Quora, or there might be different platforms where they might find more content related to your niche. Do a thorough research on these platforms, on the kind of queries being put up and answered. So you need to understand the mentality of your users and where they spend for the kind of content that you're looking for, that you have, but you might not be putting into the platform they are looking into. It may be one of that content pieces that you have written answers to those questions, right? In that case, you could provide a link to these sites to help your customer or potential customer or consumer land to a page with a higher quality content than which is already present. So selecting the best content channels is very important. Let's summarize what we learned. Do a research where your audience resides, and check out where they find more content related to your niche, and do a thorough research on these platforms, and make a note of it, keep a list of it, where in which you can use these platforms to post your content. The sixth content strategy point is decide on content types, or content buckets, as we say. These are different content types. So this is done to segregate the content into different buckets, right? And this is mostly the high-end view of the content. To get a higher end view or high level view of the content that you put on your blog site or your post or a Medium post or a platform, social media platform, etc. Once you have categorized the content into buckets or types, you can evaluate the traffic that you will receive on your pages based on your category. So this will be very helpful. For example, I'll explain with an example. For a website like Amazon, it could be that the electronics category might be receiving more traffic than apparels. This also means that users are more inclined to purchasing electronic items on Amazon, and content related to apparel needs to be looked at more strategically. So this gives us different buckets or types of content to decide. Blog posts are also an essential part of your content marketing mix, which should be, and they could bring in more traffic since they have a scope to target a wide range of keywords which may be indirectly related to your business. Ideally, your blog post should add value, should be actionable, it should be valuable, it should be shareable, and may include a range of article types as well. So you need to segregate your content. The content that you put on your blog site, have a high level view of it. And once you have categorized the content into buckets, you can evaluate the traffic you receive on your pages. Identifying and allocating resources. This is the seventh strategic point, or one of the strategies in content marketing. You need to understand about the content, but again, there are people behind it who make or create content or work on content or monitor content, right? Now that you know that the type of content you are planning to create, that we have learned in the previous section, we know that who it is for and who you're planning it to share with, and it's important to make sure that you have everything that you need to deliver on your content marketing strategy. That involves answering questions like who will create the content, who will optimize your content, who will check on page SEO, and publishing the workflow as well. So for example, who will create your content? There are content creators who are creative. They look into content, the kind of domains or genre that you have your business or your product or your service on, create the content. Then you have your experts who will look into optimizing your content to make it readable, to add graphics. The third person will, the third, say, a team member that you might have, will look into page SEO, technical keywords. Are all the keywords what the user might search your content for? Is it all available on in the content? For example, I'm explaining, trying to explain this in point of view of a blog. So does all the keywords have? So for example, a user might have a query how to use regression. What is the formula for regression in using, how to use regression formula, for example, sorry. So in this case, the user might be looking for something exactly like a formula which explains and with an example. So you might have created the content which is already there, but again, do all these keywords, for example, regression, formula, solution, does all these words present, are all these words present in your content? Yes or no? So an SEO expert is very important when you're working on content, for example, like blogging. And finally, publishing workflow, someone to look into the workflow when you publish your content. Now we come to the next part. Since we have done all the steps properly, strategies we have followed in the content marketing, we come into the part where we create content calendars. Now, why is this important? As part of your content strategy, you will need to know exactly when you want to publish your content, right? And in each of these platforms, you need to that you will be using, you need to know when you will be putting up the content. For example, say you can use Google Sheets to put in the tiles and dates of publishing and share it with all the stakeholders. All the content tiles could be color highlighted to decide priority. Once published, each of these rows also needs to be checked in by the SEO team, and also to check in for all page activities. When you define strategically and you put timelines on what kind of content is going where and when, you need to organize your content marketing. What are the posts or what are the types of contents which are going where, but you need a calendar and a timeline. So you can basically start off by using Google Sheets. You can use simple color coding to make it effective and organized. Welcome to this next section wherein which we will discuss how to create content. Now, since we have discussed everything apart from creating content and how to strategize, how to put in your calendar, what kind of research you need to do, we come to it at the end, creating content itself. So before you create content, a lot of research needs to be done to evaluate the kind of keywords or queries your target audience is searching for. Once that is done, the next step is to segregate your content and index it properly. For example, number of keywords with lower search volume could be clubbed into one blog, which could be targeting a common theme for all the keywords. Once the research is done, you will have an idea of what type of blog post to create. Now decide the format of that content. Should it be in the form of a list format or how to format? Once you have these questions answered, it would be easier for you to frame the content. One of the most important things or points that you need to look out for is, first of all, do the research, do your research in keywords ranking on Google, club the lower ranking keywords with a higher common ranking keyword theme or which you will put in your blog. Decide your word count. Too short a blog, not useful, not informative, but too long a blog, maybe boring. You will have to find the ideal number of words in which you can capture the user and get the user interested, or who can be a potential customer or a consumer. Strategize now by adding videos, infographics. You can add related videos from YouTube links. You can embed them. You can also use vectors. You can use mind maps. It's better to make it more attractive so that you drag the attention of the user and potential customer or consumer. And finally, you do the most important thing of all, that is publish your content. Now let's move on to the distribution. So now you have done the most important thing in content marketing, that is publishing the content. Now once you have published your content, it's no point that the content sits in your blog and no one looks at it. So you need to work extremely hard on distributing your content. And yeah, there are smart ways to do it, but again, the effort remains the same. You might look into different ways of distributing your content. So that is why in the next key part of your content strategy is distribution of your content. It is also called as dissemination, right? Dissemination meaning you spread out or share your content. So dissemination of the generated content is very necessary, else Google won't be able to evaluate if some piece of content is ranking well or is being shared in a specific community, right? So make sure that dissemination is very important, and you put a bit of effort in your content strategy in this point. And there are various mediums where in which you can disseminate your content. For example, email marketing, you can shoot out email marketing using tools like MailChimp. We will discuss what is MailChimp later in the end. You can also use social media sharing. You can share it on different groups on Facebook or pages. You can give it out to influencers, pay them. Also, if you are interested in paying and disseminating your content, you can look into other social, sort of, how I would say, half social media platforms, something like WhatsApp or maybe Telegram, right? Individual websites as well, like affiliate blog sites or partner blog sites. You can do backlinking, where you can link your or add your relevant links to their blogs. You can do vice versa, image websites as well. You can add the link there. And most importantly, many of the content marketing the professionals use this YouTube comments and description, right? Now this is YouTube has a lot of content, lot of videos. So list down all the videos that is relevant to your content, and go to those YouTube video sites or pages and start commenting. You can also collaborate with the YouTubers to put it in their description of all the videos. You can maybe monetary benefits involved or not. You can also put it out into community forums where a lot of people, there'll be a lot of discussions. Finally, push notifications in case you have an app or a system where in which you can communicate to your user base or leads. Most importantly, after you do everything, now your work is done. Now is to just sit, relax, and measure your results. You need to relax, but at the same time, you need to measure your results, because results determine what your work is and how your work fared. So basic things in looking into, say, result measuring is you will determine what is the success of your content marketing strategy. You will see whether all the tactics and strategies you deployed were very successful, or did it make the cut. This step actually helps you evaluate all the other previous steps and measure success, because success is what we are working for. And whatever KPIs were finalized, that is the key performance indicators, you can go back, measure all the measurement metrics, and see, okay, if there are some changes I need to make, and that's the result why I'm getting this result. And you can always go back. It's good to have iterations, keep changing small things here and there to optimize whatever your strategies and then later dependent tactics are in content marketing. See if you have achieved what you have aimed at the beginning of your exercise when you started your content marketing. To do this, you can check out Google Analytics. That's a very informative and important tool that content marketing strategists use. You can track all the traffic coming onto your blog page and going out as well. You can also measure social sharing from the dissemination you must have done on social media platforms. Measure the number of signups or leads gained. This is very important in the top or mid funnel, where in which you can where in which you would have signed up or generated leads, or leads might have come to your system, where which they must have subscribed, given their email ID, etc., etc. So you can measure. If it's very successful, you'll get a lot. This number of signups or leads gained will be high. And again, coming back to the drip effect, all the middle funnel users go to the bottom funnel, and that is where you can showcase your product or service, and you can generate revenue to your users or potential customers or consumers. There you go, we come to the end of this course. So we hope that you have learned all the important aspects and points right from the starting. And in the end, it also is important to understand what are different tools available in the market. There is WordPress, which uses PHP programming or coding, so you can design your own website. You can take your own domain name, You can also integrate MySQL, MariaDB for databases. It has a plugin architecture and a template system referred to within WordPress as something called as themes. Most of the bloggers use WordPress, so check it out. There's also Google Analytics, as we as we told, as we discussed earlier. A very important tool. You can track everything with Google Analytics. You can also track paid performance marketing. You can also look into the traffic, the keywords, whatever you have used, even the UTM parameters you must have used in campaigns. Definitely useful. SEMrush and Ahrefs are tools. Both do the same thing, but they have different small differences. But again, at the end of the day, you will be using these tools. These are paid tools, by the way. They give you almost 80-90% accuracy. So what accuracy does it give you? It gives you sites. If you want to look into traffic going into some other third party site, you can get to know what is the organic traffic going there, what is the inorganic traffic, what are the backlinks, what is the keyword strength, and what are the important site pages of that particular website. You can also do keyword search, which gives you proper number of keyword strength as well on Google. So very important tool when it comes to keywords. Moz is another tool which builds tools that make SEO, inbound marketing, link building, and content marketing easy. It makes everything easy. Go check it out. You can have a Google about Moz, you'll understand. And we come to MailChimp, the go-to most of the intermediate or beginner content marketing prospects, or say young professionals, or someone like you who's learning this course. Check out MailChimp. They give you 1,000 contacts free, and at the same time, I think they will give you also 5,000 bulk emails, marketing mails free. So you can use their platform to store up to 1,000 email IDs and shoot a mail or message at once. They also have paid plans, but yeah, MailChimp is the go-to tool to be used. There's also something called a SendGrid, which is a slight different. I would say both do the same thing, but usually people prefer MailChimp. There's also HotSuite. HotSuite is a social media management platform. So it was created by Ryan Holmes in 2008. Google about it, you'll know more about it. And finally, Buzzumo, where in which you can evaluate social media. You can basically discover content ideas, uncover platform insights, and you can do a run search quickly to do all this in Buzzumo. So this is also another important tool. There are other important tools, but as of now, knowing these tools would be definitely important and will make the cut. We hope that you like this course, and hope we have covered everything right from the start. From what is the definition of content marketing, what's the difference, what are important other pointers related to content marketing. We have covered all the basics to set you up for something big. We hope you like the course, and we wish you all the best and hope to see you soon doing some sort of content marketing. Cheers.